Hello, you bonkers, and welcome back to another episode of Drewzy United. And this week it's bigger and better than ever. I've hit up the main man, Adam McKola from Stretford Paddock, formerly Full-Time Devils, and now the Kickoff. One of the biggest Man United fans out there on YouTube. Adam, thanks for coming on. How are you doing, lad?
Thank you for having me, bro. It's been a pleasure to jump pod with you. Obviously met you out in Australia, man, and it's good. It's good to sit down with you and have a little chat again.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Obviously, when you first come over, Solskjaer had just taken over. Mason Greenwood debuted and scored. He's come a long way since then, and he's probably one of our most.
Was that the Leeds game?
Yes, I think because Rashford and Garner scored against Perth Glory, and then Greenwood scored against Leeds. He's one of our most consistent players now, though. Greenwood, like coming through the academy, obviously we've had lots of players come through over the years and become stars at United. But how have you rated his growth in the last couple of years? And is it comparable to like a Rashford, or do you think his ceiling's a bit higher? Because he's just so consistent for us. Every time he's on the ball, he makes something happen.
No, I think Rashford's ceiling is really high, and I think he's one of the best players about there in his position. But I say that to say this, that Mason Greenwood, for me, is the best young player I've seen at Man United since Wayne Rooney.
Jeez, there you go.
I think he's unbelievable. I think his finishing ability off both feet is incredible. He scores goals for fun. He's got that ruthless killer instinct. You can tell he's not a natural winger when he plays out wide, because he's always looking for those goal scoring opportunities. And eventually, I think he'll be a man that's playing through the middle. But he's an incredible talent. You look at the amount of goals he's already scored for the club. I think Mason Greenwood's special, man. And I really think he's someone that will continue to see grow and blossom. And like, if you look at the Ballon d'Or scene, obviously things can change very quickly. But if you look at the Ballon d'Or scene, you've got the likes of, when Messi and Ronaldo are done, or they might even be done very soon, you're going to have the likes of Haaland and Mbappe, maybe Neymar, all these guys kind of competing for it. I think there's no reason why Mason Greenwood can't develop into a player that can compete for that if United are winning the big trophies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we're a long way off that at the moment anyway. We'll start with Mason Greenwood and that Leicester game. You said he's not great coming off the wing. He's obviously not a natural winger, but that strike was probably one of our best goals this season, and it started the game off well. We were shaky. Leicester were just playing through the lines so easily. And I don't know what it is, man. Like, Maguire probably come back a little bit too early from injury, but he looked so shaky. Like, the first time he touched the ball, he gave it away. Obviously, he was at fault for Leicester's first goal. You could argue at fault for the second goal as well. I watched the highlights from the kickoff, and I can quote that you said you called him a pussy-hole. And to an extent, I would agree. Because I didn't even know I said that. No, I was in the spur of the moment. It's fair enough. But when you're such a big defender, you're massive. Like, you're the captain of United. You shouldn't be diving. Like, he tries to milk free kicks at times. But at the same time, he has been solid for us. He has developed in his time at United. How have you rated Maguire as our captain and just as a player at United?
Look, towards the back end of last season, and from maybe the winter onwards, I thought he was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he really improved. There was a moment when I was really scared for him. Like, I thought, this is going to go horribly wrong. And you could see it kind of going down the wrong path. But he turned things around, and you have to give him credit for that. He started off this season really slowly yet again. That injury hasn't helped. Rushing him back hasn't helped. But he does have those tendencies to just have like a period in games where he's constantly making mistakes. Like, he could look like he could look like the best defender in the world, and then for 10 minutes just go wild. And it's like, I don't know whether it's down to the way United have set up, or whether it's just him individually, because we have a tendency to do that across the back line. But look, last season, I think he was going through a bad time. He got sent off for England. He had all the stuff in the summer. He come back. I think he scored against Newcastle, and then he was fine from there on in. So let's hope that goal against Atalanta is something that can push him on a bit.
Yeah, for sure. But we'll talk about that game at Leicester, because I think that Atalanta game, other than that second half, it sort of just pushing the issues under the rug, so to say. Like, there's no lie that we're in bad form at the moment. We've got Liverpool this weekend. They haven't lost in the Prem so far. Salah's scoring goals for fun, one of the best players in the world at the moment. Why can't we get it right in the Prem? Why can't we get it right against these sides that, they just set up for a draw? Like, we're having trouble getting 3 points against Everton at home. Aston Villa come to our own patch and beat us. Like, it's pretty embarrassing to be one of the biggest sides in the world. And these decent Prem sides, to be fair, like Villa, Everton, they're good sides. They're just getting points from us.
Far too easily as well. You feel like teams can just set up and grab a point. It's hard to say because, look, in that second half against Atalanta, we're incredible. I think the only times we've played well apart from that this season are against Newcastle and Leeds. And Newcastle and Leeds are teams that let you play. So like you say, if a team sets up well, and that's not to say Everton and Aston Villa just defended, because I don't think they did. But if a team sets up well and they're tactically well drilled and they know what they're doing, it's very easy for them to get a result. Villarreal nearly did it. Atalanta nearly did it. And I think it was Atalanta's probably lack of game management, because they were still attacking at like 2-0. That probably left them a little bit open and meant that they didn't get the win. So there is a worry a little bit. But is it because, Ollie's just run out of ideas and, look, he can't handle the team that he's had, which is something that you fear. But it could also be that, actually, we've just started the season. We brought Sancho and Ronaldo into the team. We've got new players. Maybe they're readjusting to trying to find a new system, trying to find a new best 11, which could be the case. I think Rashford coming in alongside Ronaldo the other day really gave us a different dynamic.
For sure, I agree.
I think we've seen the dynamic that Edinson Cavani can give us when he comes on. And I think we've got to get Jadon Sancho into the team more. But then we've just been talking about how good Mason Greenwood is. So Ollie's got to find a balance between that front line. In my opinion, it involves Jadon Sancho and it involves Marcus Rashford, which then means, you can only play one of Ronaldo, Greenwood and Cavani, which is a good problem to have. But, you want to see Greenwood playing. He'll get his game time, but it's going to be Ronaldo, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy to think. Like, I sort of started following the Prem the year that Moyes and Van Gaal, like that sort of era. Like, I wasn't really following it before then. I just wasn't old enough to be interested, sort of thing. But, like, in the last sort of 5 years, we've never had, like, a super sub that could come on. It's always been, like, a Marouane Fellaini. A Juan Mata's usually been the star of the team. So it's crazy to think now, like, we have one of the best sides in the Prem and Ollie just still can't get the best out of it. And I think a massive factor in that are your two best mates, McTominay and Fred. I know you're massive fans of these blokes. Look, Fred gives his all 100% every game, but he just doesn't have the quality. What's that?
They both give their all. They both can't knock them. You know what I mean? But
they've got the passion, just not the quality.
I think Fred did well against Atalanta at times, but there were also moments in that game where you just think, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And they both have a tendency to do that or shy away from a game. Fred very rarely shies away from a game, but he'll be offering for the ball, and he'll make a lot of mistakes. McTominay, on the other hand, I think, yes, he can be well up for it and get into tackles and move the ball forward and score the odd goal. But in terms of playing that midfield role, I don't think he's the man to be the holder there.
Yeah.
I think he's a very squad player to have. So it's like, again, finding the balance in midfield. And I don't think Ollie's experimented enough in there. Like, it's always Matic or Pogba. It doesn't go right. We go back to McFred. It eventually doesn't go right. We go back to Matic. And it's like, overlooking Donny van der Beek, I think, is really unfair. And I think there has to be a way in which you can get that midfield to work. Of course, look, we need a player in there, but your solution to everything can't always be let's buy someone.
Signing. Yeah, 100%. Well, Matic is too slow. Fred just doesn't have the quality. McTominay has the passion but shies away from games. At the end of last season, I thought like McTominay could really develop over the summer. Like in that Europa League final, it was a dreadful game, but I thought McTominay was definitely the best on the pitch for us.
Do you know what I think that is though? Yeah. And when we play badly, people will point to Fred or McTominay playing well. And I think it's because of those things. It's because they always work hard. Because they, run a lot or they look like. So when we play badly, you go, oh, look, they were trying, and it's like
Yeah.
it's satisfying to you that someone was trying, so therefore you praise them for it. But it's like you should expect that anyway. And I think just ultimately the just quality is not there. But look, Ali's got no excuse in terms of the squad. Like the squad is good enough to be challenging.
I love Solskjaer, and I'm sure you do. Most
Man.
United fans who aren't delusional do as well, and they're going to back him all the way every game. At 2-0 down against Atalanta, given the results that we've had, what was your mindset when the United fans were booing? Did you think Solskjaer could get the boys back into it, or were you thinking this is just going downhill real quick?
Abdullah was sitting next to me, and I said to him, this could be Ali's Newcastle. Remember when Jose was 2-0 down against Newcastle, and I think he brought on Pogba and Marshall, and we win 3-2.
Yeah, was that when Sanchez scored the penalty?
Yeah, I think Alexis had a really good game. Probably one of a few that he had.
Yeah.
And like that was a game where he kind of saved himself for a little bit. And I wasn't surprised because look, we created chances in that first half. I actually thought, besides falling asleep at a set piece, besides falling asleep at the set piece and Maguire and Shaw messing up, which obviously is two big instances, and I know Atlanta had other chances, but we had plenty of chances. Fred should have scored. Rashford could have scored too. So we had chances of our own, and I always felt that we'll create more chances. But you always get that feeling. Atalanta have scored 2 already. It could have been 3 or 4. They'll probably score again. So, yeah, maybe I wasn't saying we're going to win. I thought there was a chance. And, once we get that first goal, I started to believe. And then at 2-2, when Ronaldo hadn't scored yet, against Abdullah, Ronaldo hasn't scored in the last 2 games because I think he hadn't scored in the last 2 Premier League games. He's due a goal.
Bad patch of form for Ronaldo, 2 games without a goal.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? He's one. Like if he goes 2 games without a goal, you go, yeah, scoring today.
But Bruno in that game was nuts. Like in that first half, he had a nice bit of link-up play with Fred. Fred obviously didn't tuck it away. He was on his opposite right foot. Right at the end of the first half, he drops deep, gets the ball, puts Rashford into space, and he puts it off the bar. I think that's what Rashford really provides well for us. Like a lot of times last season, he'd put himself in an offside position, but he'd be through on goal, and he'd be like, for fuck's sake, Rashford, just get onside. But in the 2 games that he's been back, he scored against Leicester, just a nice ball from Lindelof over the top into space. Bruno put him into space when he hit the bar as well. He was just offside early in that game. He got the first for us, a beautiful ball from Bruno Fernandes, first time pass outside of the foot. How nice is it to just have an attacking midfielder who's so creative but is such a goal threat at the same time? Like, we've had Juan Mata. He was good for that period, that sort of transitional period for us, but he never provided that constant goal threat like a shot from outside of the box. He could set up goals and he'd pop up for one every now and then, but Bruno Fernandes is one of the most consistent players United have had in a long time.
Yeah, he's ridiculous, and you look at his numbers, I think he's already close to, I think if he gets 1, I think if he gets 9 in his next 27 games, which is probably poor for his standards.
Yeah.
If he gets 9 in his next 27 games, he'll have 100 and 200 for United. So, I mean, he's putting up numbers that are very similar to top strikers. And it's weird, that game in the Champions League midweek, I was sat there frustrated at his performance. It was weird. Like I was like a lot of the passes he was pulling off, like the easy ones, they just weren't happening. And you were like, bloody, like Ronaldo's through passing, the ball's gone again, or just over hitting a pass or under hitting a pass, and he was getting very frustrated. But then you look at the key moments in the game, and I've watched the game back a few times since. You look at the key moments, he was involved in everything. You look at the stats after the game, he creates 9 chances, and you think, well, if that's him on a bad day, how good is this guy? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's ridiculous. He got 2 assists. And it sounds mental. I don't particularly think he played to his best standard. And you look at that pass for Rashford, and, he spots the run. He's got the pass in him, the bend on it. He did that twice in the game. Like, yeah, he's ridiculous. He's ridiculous. But he's one of those because he tries so many things so often. Same with Pogba, because he tries so many things so often. Sometimes someone will pull out a stat and go, he's lost the ball 8 times, and you're like,
Mhm.
yeah, bloody hell, that's bad. But you watch it and he's playing those passes. He's trying to force things for his strikers, and I think the strikers will love that because I imagine now in this day and age where, and listen, Bruno's stats aren't bad, by the way. His stats are very good. His pass completion and all those things are very good. But I imagine in this day and age where stats are important to people, that footballers do hesitate in making that riskier pass. Like, oh, actually, that's going to be a miscut. You know what I mean? Miscompleted pass. And he doesn't give a shit about that. He'll just keep trying it. So, yeah, man, I like that he keeps playing even when maybe he's getting frustrated or, things aren't going his way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you look at guys like McTominay and that, sometimes they're just not willing to pull the trigger. Like, take the risk. That's how you make things happen. You can't win playing conservative. That was the whole storyline under Van Gaal. We were just the most conservative side. We wouldn't put a ball into the box. Like, it was so boring to watch. So to have someone like Bruno, even if he does mess it up sometimes, just trying to pull the strings, it's all you can ask from an attacking midfielder. The one criticism I'll have of Bruno Fernandes is he gets flustered quite easily. Like in the game against Southampton earlier in the season when that first goal went in and he got fouled. Against Wolves as well, it's a bit of a physical game. Like, if the opposition gets physical with him, he just sooks a bit and it can put him off his game at times. Other times he can flourish from it, but...
You know what, though? I get what you're saying, yeah. And I see it as well, his frustration. And sometimes that annoys me. But do you remember, like, with Wayne Rooney? It's like if you take that aggression away from him, you don't have the same player. You just don't. You don't have the same player. Bruno Fernandes is Bruno Fernandes because he's always moaning at everyone. He's always angry. He's always running around. And because he's always angry, he's always moaning at everyone. And because of those things, he's always also running around and being a great example. And I don't mean just running around like an idiot. But, he then becomes a good example in someone that consistently works for the team. So I'm not a very good footballer, obviously, but I see myself in when I play football, like that frustration and that anger and that. But can't.
You do have the same beard to hair ratio as Bruno Fernandes as well.
Unfortunately, I don't have the same bank account, but
if you win poker tonight, you might.
I think we should just enjoy him for what he is. Like he's good, man. I love him. And when people
100%.
like, I love Anthony Martial as well. But Anthony Martial is someone that maybe doesn't wear his heart on his sleeve, and people moan about it. So, you can't win.
That's a good point. Yeah, I love your passion for Tony Martial because I feel the same way. Like, I hate that he just hasn't been able to make it work in the long term at United because when Martial is on, he's just so swaggy. I love him. When he scored against... Who did he score his last goal against? Everton. That's it. I was up off the couch losing my mind. I was like, Tony Martial's back, lads. And then Townsend goes for on goal and, we get a 1-1 draw at home. All right, we'll talk about the Liverpool game on the weekend at Old Trafford. Obviously, sides aren't finding it hard to get points at Old Trafford at the moment. And I think Liverpool, one of the best sides in the world at the moment. They're not going to be scared of United. We're going to be up for it. It's the biggest game of our season so far. Midweek, they went over to Atletico Madrid, beat them 3-2. As I said earlier, Mo Salah in the best form in the world, the best form of his career at the moment, setting up goals for fun. Are you going to this game, and how do you see it playing out?
I'm on the kick-off for this game, so unfortunately, I'm not there. I give my ticket to my dad and my brother are going. Yeah, so if United turn up like they did against Atalanta in that first half, we'll get battered. We'll get absolutely battered by them. But on the other hand, if we perform to the standard we know we can with the quality of player that we have, then I think there's a chance to get a result there. The fans will be up for it. The crowd will be up for it. I know it's not late night, but it's like, late afternoon game at Old Trafford. The floodlights will probably be on. It'll be one of those ones. So I'm hoping we can pull a result out of the bag. But if we perform like we have against Villa or Everton, then we will be on for a hiding.
Yeah.
But these games against Liverpool, I remember when we were the best team in the world and we were playing Liverpool, who weren't very good, and you know, they'd occasionally beat us. Like these games, like the form just goes out the
form
window.
doesn't play into it.
So we need to go for it. And look, if we get a win, potentially revitalise our season.
That's what I was going to say. It could just take the pressure right off Solskjaer, get a win against Liverpool, give them their first loss off the season. Champions League win midweek. We've got some tough fixtures coming up, but it'd be a good start to get a win against Liverpool, beat the Scousers, and just hopefully play ourselves into form and get out of this dip.
I think if we do win, it's going to be like that FA Cup game. Remember where we beat them, like, was it 3-2? 4-3? 3-2?
Oh, yeah, last season when there was no fans there, yeah.
I think if we do win, it'll be like one of those open games like that. Rashford's important, though. He needs to be fit.
He is. I remember we weren't playing very well. I think it was 2 seasons ago when we played him, and Rashford popped up with one nice run behind Virgil van Dijk, and Old Trafford just lifted like mad. So Rashford's been such a massive in for us, just getting in behind the defence, timing his runs perfectly. What's your score prediction?
3-2 United.
I wrote down in my notes, I said, my heart says 3-2 United, my head says 3-2 Liverpool. So it's going to be a tough
If Liverpool win, it could be horrible. But I'm confident. Like, Ronaldo's due a goal in the league. He's not played Liverpool in a long time. I think Cavani, Cavani, Rashford up against Trent. That's an interesting battle. I think we should be starting Pogba in the midfield, maybe a Fred Pogba. But we need a result in this one. We need a result.
Yeah, 100%. If not, it could just give off that. Can you remember when Moyes played Liverpool, his last game at Liverpool at Old Trafford? And
best atmospheres I've ever been in at Old Trafford. It was amazing, but it was such a bad game.
What was the score? Was it 3-0?
3-0.
3-0. 3-0. Yeah.
Terrible game, but could be definitely a make or break game for Ollie, and we'll leave it at that, Adam. So thanks a lot again for coming on, for being generous with your time. It's the best Drewzy United episode so far.
No, I appreciate you for having me, and obviously anytime you need me, give me a shout, and hopefully see you boys over there soon, man.
Oh, I'd love to. Hopefully, I'll be over at Old Trafford once Australia decides not to be a communist state, and I'll be over.
Right. Cheers, mate.
Let me just stop this recording.